Hello, fellow comic book fans, and welcome to episode number 5 of the Brazen Comic Book Podcast. I'm Charlie Chipman, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts, Ben Peterson.
Hello.
And Dave Robbins.
Hello, friends.
On today's show, we'll be discussing the Terrifics number 1, Silencer number 2, and Kiss Army of Darkness number 1 from Dynamite. Today's Wednesday, February 28th, and it's New Comic Book Day.
So let's start off with the Terrifics, which is DC's part of DC's New Age of Heroes initiative. So, what did you guys think?
Well, I for one, I was a fan of the book. I was very excited. I brought this up in last week's episode that I really was looking forward to the Terrifics. I think overall the book works relatively well. I think that it really appeals to the long-term or long-time reader, or at least the well-versed reader. I really don't think that it's accessible at all. I think that this is a issue that'll be tough for a new reader to pick up, even if you're not necessarily new to DC Comics. You're just, you have no idea who Mr. Terrific is or Metamorpho. I think that it may be a little tough, but overall, I enjoyed the book. But I'm also a long-time reader. I know who all these characters are, so it worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think you're right. I mean, I'm certainly not well-versed in the DC universe, and there were references to things that I just had no idea about. I didn't really understand who these people were at first. Some of them seemed familiar, and then some of them seemed too familiar, like, they might have been from a different company altogether.
Yeah.
Only mixed up a little bit. The stretchy guy is the funny guy. The beastie guy is actually pretty brave. The smart guy has an interesting power that I completely do not understand.
Yeah.
And then there was some woman that was told to be invisible.
Yeah. Yeah, feels like something else.
Feels like it. Yeah.
Although I would say that this version of the four people is less dysfunctional of a family and has a leader that's a little bit more relatable than the other one that it might resemble.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Ben?
Well, like I said, I think I tend to agree with you guys. I mean, the art was great. I very much enjoyed the artwork of it.
Yeah, I like the flying giant space planet guy.
Yeah, I mean, they did a great job there. I agree. So once again, I'm with Dave on this one. I'm not super familiar with all the characters in that part of the DC universe.
Yeah.
So there are some confusing parts for sure that you just have not no idea. But what is it, Mr. Terrific?
Yes.
Mr. Terrific just comes in the beginning, and it's just, you're supposed to know who he is at that point.
Yeah.
And if you don't, that's kind of like you don't know anything about him. So even by the end, I feel like I don't know really anything about him.
Yeah.
So I think that's my biggest issue with it. But once again, I still enjoyed it though. Like for me, even though I didn't know really all that was going on, it was still a good one to read. And being number 1, a good place to start.
Yeah. I'm really hoping that with issue number 2, most of the work I think was done in issue number 1. If we look at this as the typical new group round 'em up issue,
it succeeded.
Yeah, it succeeded. It was very entertaining. We got the group together in a relatively interesting way, and in a story or part of a story that was quite entertaining, where we don't necessarily get to take a look. We don't learn much about the members of our group, but I think at the very least, we get a taste of the group dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that for me, that instills a bit of confidence. And it has me looking forward to issue number 2.
Yeah,
well, certainly I think the artwork does the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
It's visually engaging. all the way through.
Definitely.
Like you said, it's more, it's an introductory story, some interesting things going on. I would definitely pick up the second issue just to try to get more in depth into what's going on. But yeah, I mean, I had a positive reaction to it, certainly.
Good. Yeah, and I mean, it's as a fan, I'm glad to hear from you guys that, you both, said that you really don't know too much, about the, the further ends of the DC universe, and you could still get something out of this. So, that's great, and that makes me more likely to recommend this book to anyone that isn't, like I said, well versed, or if you have no idea who Mr. Terrific is, or Plastic
Man. To be perfectly honest, anytime I pick up a DC book, there's gonna be stuff I don't know.
Yeah.
So if that's the criteria, then that means I'm never going to read another comic book in DC, and that's not what I'm planning on doing. I want to read more. Yeah. I want to get more interested in it, and this is a title that does present enough interesting things that want me to come back, that make me want to come back.
Good. And I too, I didn't say anything about the artwork, but I think the artwork was fantastic. I'm really looking forward to seeing, what kind of illustrations we're going to get, or big, full page, 2-page spreads we're going to have of Plastic Man. What he's gonna, because already we had the giant floating, Plastic Man in this, and it was very interesting. Those were great, and we had the big planetoid. It was good stuff. Like, it looked really good. It was captivating, visually captivating.
Yep.
Yeah. So this was a good one. One of my favorites out of this DC New Age of Heroes initiative.
Okay, I'll buy that. Sure.
Yeah, I can see why.
Yeah. Yeah, it works for me. Like I said, it works as number one. I like the group dynamic, visually impressive. I think Jeff Lemire did a great job, like I said, with the round 'em up story. Because in these issues, you do have to do, as the writer and even as the illustrator, you have to keep things interesting. You have to do some heavy lifting. Especially, Plastic Man has been out of the picture for a long time. These characters, you don't see them every week in a comic book. So, it's a sort of reintroduction. And I think that, like I said, just focusing on that group dynamic a little bit like we had here, I think it really instills that confidence in readers to pick up the next issue. So I'll take it. It works.
All right. So going off that.
Yeah.
In your apparent joy of this one.
Yeah.
What did you think? So now we have Silencer 2.
Oh, man.
So I know Dave and I had discussed it last when Silencer 1 came out.
Yeah.
And we were on board.
Yeah.
Just interested in seeing where it was going to go.
Now, I would say that it's possible that Charlie poisoned the well. He did say that he didn't understand the powers and he wasn't on board with the powers. And so consequently, that was the first thing I zeroed in on. And this time, I don't understand the powers either.
Yeah.
I was expecting some sort of active power that enhanced the Silencer's stealth abilities. Mm-hmm. Hence the name Silencer. She's supposed to be some kind of assassin. But in practice, at least so far, in this issue, that's not what's happening. It's this weird, don't wake the neighbors kind of power.
Right. I think I understand the power.
Yeah.
It's just not what I was thought or hoping it would be.
No.
Like, I thought it would evolve a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And it's not. And that's, it's an interesting concept.
Not to wake the neighbors.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was thinking if it's for assassinations, it makes sense to some degree because you could show up somewhere, pop this bubble, shoot a couple people. There would be no noise.
Yeah.
So to some degree, it works, like as the assassin, I think. But in this like let's just throw down brawl. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's let's not wake the neighbors.
Yeah. And you know what I think one of the issues here is, I mean, for me, I think for this to work, I was expecting like straight out like Splinter Cell, Ghost Recon, like, you know, in and out, you know, you're deadly because no one knows you're there. And we have them fighting in the suburbs, in the street.
Right.
And I think that, and I might be wrong here, I just think that there's too much emphasis being placed on the fact that it's been a while since she's been active, and you know now this her past life is kind of flooding into her current life, and you know it's interfering. That's why we have fights in the street in front of her house, and you know in the supermarket parking lot. I get it, but I think we're beating a dead horse here. It's just, it's not working. I would have much rather have had, say, issue 1 and issue 2 start with some sort of flashback.
Okay.
You know, that at peak capacity, this is what was going on.
Right.
You know,
When
you
she was a full-on agent.
Yeah. You just
This
took out
is
like
what she was really successful doing.
yeah, world leader. You didn't even have to take anybody out. Like, I just want to see her like sneaking up on Batman. You know, like
Okay.
that's enough for me. Like, you don't
That
have to
would
kill
be cool.
anybody.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
if Batman doesn't know you're there, like you're doing something right. You know, like, and that's something that can be, you know, relatively, you know, light. You know, it doesn't have to be intense. That could be funny. Like, you know, or even if she just did the Batman thing, you know, where you're sitting there talking to her and, you know, you turn around and then she's gone. Like, that would have been great, you know, and that's light. It would work. We just don't see that. I think we're caught up in the current day, and it's just not interesting enough for me. And again, you know, her powers, I get it. It's just, it doesn't work. And I don't even know if it's really powers per se. I'm pretty sure it's just technology, right?
Yeah, it's technology.
Now, is her silence? I think her silence bubble though. That may be a power.
Yeah. See, I'm not sure.
Well, the thing is, the reason I think it is because when she first fought that guy in the parking lot,
Yeah.
it was totally unexpected. It had
Okay.
been years since she had dealt with anything, so it's not like she's still on edge. She just
Yeah.
suddenly was like,
Right.
"Oh, I have to do this."
I see.
So I think that one is a power, but then the rest of it's just usual
This
assassins.
thing that sews her clothes back together and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. The nanode to unweave her suit.
yeah. So for me, it just once again, I think unfortunately, similar to Damage, it just left me wanting more in a like what's actually going on kind of way,
Yeah.
not in a I can't wait for the next episode.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly. I agree. So now, with that being said, now I know you guys liked issue 1 more than I did. Would you recommend issue number 2, or would you still recommend, you know, listeners to say go back and read issues 1 and 2 and decide for themselves, or would you say skip it and go to another New Age of Heroes title or something else altogether?
Yeah, I hate to say don't do it
Yeah.
because I really try to give every title as many issues as I can. But you know what? I'm not real happy with this either. You know.
Yeah.
agreed. I think for me, next episode or next issue is going to make or break it.
Yeah.
They can pull something together, then all right, then we'll continue. We'll just ignore issue 2. But if it doesn't really pull together, it's over. I'm not even going to bother with the rest of it.
All right. I can give you that. I will give it to issue number 3. I will read issue number 3 with you guys. And we can make our decision then, you know, whatever is a few weeks from now. And we'll decide whether or not we're going to keep up with Silencer.
Yep.
So, all right. And I think the last book we really wanted to talk about was from Dynamite, Kiss and Kiss Army of Darkness, which is a crossover between Kiss and, you know, Ash versus Army of Darkness. So, yeah.
Right. Specifically the Army of Darkness, because it I don't want to give too much away, but
Yeah.
it's more an Army of Darkness connection to Ash Williams than an Evil Dead
Yes.
connection to Ash
Absolutely.
Williams.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this was. I mean, I'll go full disclosure. I'm not a huge fan of Kiss. You know, I find it to be, well, just let's just say I'm not a huge fan of Kiss. So there's a lot going on that I'm not going to be on board with at first.
Yeah.
I am, however, a huge fan of Army of Darkness and Evil Dead and Bruce Campbell, and you know, I'd listen to him read the phone book. You know what I mean? So I've got conflicting elements.
You're so torn.
I am torn. So, but this is a Dynamite project, okay?
Yeah.
So they're used to taking potentially problematic properties, acknowledging that there are difficulties with these properties, and somehow molding him into something that's an interesting story.
Yeah.
And I think that they had a lot of things to deal with. I mean, there's the self-promotional origins of Kiss is inherent in pretty much everything you find from them. And there's this huge, very specific, very loyal fan base of Army of Darkness, Evil Dead, and this vital canon, which Kiss isn't a part of. Okay, so how do you fix that? And I think that they took that and they found a way where they can connect the two.
Yeah.
So my approach to this is, you know, at least as far as the Kiss portion of it is similar to my approach to Army of Darkness and Evil Dead. As long as I treat myself like I'm in on the joke, I'm going to have fun with it. And I think this is only going to get better. I think that they had some things that they needed to accomplish. Generally speaking, they accomplished them in this first issue. As long as I don't take it too seriously, don't overthink it, and they pick up the action in the next issue, I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah, I think so too. And, you know, full disclosure here, you know, I consider myself to be a part of the Kiss Army. When I started reading this, and, you know, there's a moment when Paul Stanley is referred to as Star Child. Okay. I went right back to being a child watching Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. And now look, I was born in 90. The TV movie came out in 78. You know, I had family members that were huge Kiss fans. So this was something that I had to see. And I was maybe like 5 years old when I first saw this movie. And it was like the coolest thing I had ever seen. You know, seeing Kiss for me as a child was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. You know, they were loud, and they were all dressed up, and it was kind of badass.
Okay, you and I can have a whole episode about the different ways rock bands have approached shock and supernatural and stuff like that. I think that might be interesting, but that's for another time.
Yes, for a later date, we'll discuss that.
In this entire book is how much longer must we witness this vulgar display?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Like, I am also a big, you know, Army of Darkness fan, more so than Evil Dead. You know, that was another movie that I saw at a very young age, and I just thought it was great. And I kind of just, you know, stuck with it. So a book like this for me, a series like this, is like my inner Charlie's like doing backflips. You know, just looking at the cover, it's like, this is going to be fantastic. And, you know, for me, as long as the series remains fun, it's a success. I am really looking forward to Ash meeting Kiss, because it doesn't happen in this issue.
Right.
I think that more so than anything, I want to see Ash meet Gene Simmons.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what his reaction would be.
It's gonna
Because
be
it's not necessarily going to be a positive one.
no, but it's gonna be hilarious.
Yeah, they might just or try to outsnark each other,
Yeah,
and that might be a lot of fun.
yeah, I think it is. Ben, are you a fan of either Kiss or Army of Darkness?
So I'm not a diehard fan.
Okay,
I enjoy some Kiss. I enjoy some Army of Darkness.
all right,
But not being like a diehard fan, this particular issue, it's like didn't really blow me away.
okay,
Like I just kind of was left with like, well, that was kind of weird.
all right. I'll give you that.
But like, there's some things I like, and it's like this was really weird. I really enjoyed it. I'm like, this was kind of weird. I'm not really moved one way or another. But that being said, with pretty much all comic books, I'm willing to give everything a second chance. Like I'm waiting for the next issue.
Yeah,
Because you always have to lay the groundwork, and that's what this one did. And so, but as you guys said, I think if you're a big fan of either one of those,
yeah,
read this. You'll get a kick out of it.
yeah, definitely.
But you'll probably hate the other
side
contingent.
Yeah.
This is fanboy versus fanboy in a fight to the undeath.
Yeah. I mean, look, all I'm saying is I'm willing to, grab a chainsaw and paint my face. Like, just show how much I like this. Like, I'm fine with that. It'll work. But I had a lot of fun reading it. A lot of fun. And
that's all that matters, really. So.
Yeah. I think it's well written. It's well illustrated, as much as anyone would expect. It works really well. I think it works very well as a first issue. To, like you said, Ben, to introduce everybody. Not that I think either side really needs to be introduced to anyone that would pick this series up. But
I mean, not the introducing part, but just the story part, like where you're going to go with it.
Yes. And, I think it was a success. It was a lot of fun. It was a whole lot of fun. So, but yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Ash meeting Gene Simmons.
Yeah.
So I think that is going to be interesting. It's going to be hilarious. And if it's not, I'm going to be really disappointed. Like terribly disappointed. But with that, how about we give our picks of the week, and we'll wrap this one up. I'll go first this week because normally I, wait until the very end. I'll have to say I'm going to pick a DC book. I really enjoyed Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, number 39. Now, this is part 3 of the current arc. Just to quickly bring everybody up to speed, there is a distress call in the universe. Hal Jordan and Kyle Rayner go out to investigate it, show up on this planet, and we have Zod and his family. Essentially, they're being worshipped by the locals of this planet, the indigenous people, and one thing leads to another. Lanterns get the snot kicked out of them. They're imprisoned, and Zod and company want to study the Green Lantern rings, the greatest weapons in the universe. And yeah, so like I said, I don't want to give too much away, but that's essentially what happened leading up to this issue. But this issue, like I said, again, it's a part 3, nonstop, from beginning to end, very, very well illustrated. I love all of these books. They're always so inventive, and the characters, you can have a lot of fun with a Green Lantern title, just with all the aliens and all the races and all the lanterns and the constructs. And, this is one of those books that the creators took full advantage of their source material and what they were working with. And like I said, this was a lot of fun. This was the most fun, maybe the most fun. Kiss and Army of Darkness was a lot of fun, but this was a lot of fun, and I definitely recommend anybody that's interested in Hal Jordan and Green Lantern, or if you're currently reading Green Lanterns, I would definitely start with the first part of the arc. But yeah, this is definitely my pick of the week. So who's up next? Dave, what's yours, sir?
I'm going to go with Motherlands number 2.
Great.
This is the mother-daughter bounty hunter
Yeah.
team through the multiverse.
Yes.
It's kind of a parody of reality TV and bounty hunter shows and stuff.
Yeah.
It's reality TV in the face of stardom and the desire to be. So there's more going on than just this adventure story, but it's a pretty good adventure story. There's this real conflict between the mother and the daughter, and how the kid grew up, and as much as she hated her mother, she still grew up to be having the same job that her mother had. So yeah, I think this is going someplace interesting, and I like it. It's unusual. It's fun.
Good.
We were saying everything's fun.
Yeah.
It's an action adventure that has a pretty good parody on reality TV.
Yeah. Yeah. This is another book that I think definitely should be fun. I read through it as well. I enjoyed it. I really like the look of this book as well. It definitely, everything's so vibrant and full of life,
Well, what's interesting about that is the stuff that appears to be on camera or for the camera is always more vibrant than the rest of the story.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Very, very deliberate artistic interpretation.
Yeah. Good. All right, Ben, what do you got, sir?
All right, well, I was a bad comic book boy and played board games all weekend instead. Yes. So if you want me to give you your top pick there, I could do that. But what I read, I did read The Flash. It's The Perfect Storm, The Flash, number 41.
Good.
Continues the story arc. It was a good issue. Just kind of moving the storyline a little bit more than not as much action, I guess. Especially compared to the first, I think episode 40 or issue 40. But it's still a good one. Still good for Flash fans. So that's
good. Good to hear that.
And I don't think time travel was involved, so I feel like that's always a good thing.
Yeah, that's when it gets messy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some lingering travel of sort, but
it's not the same.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I read Flash as well. Grodd's back, so always like to see.
I like Grodd. He's one of my favorite.
Yeah, I like Grodd. So, and I think this is a very interesting story arc. So, yeah,
I think he has a good reason to be here this time instead of just like, I want Speed Force, give it to me.
Yeah, he needs it.
Yeah, now he actually needs it. So
yeah, he needs it hard. So, but it's great. It's great, and so I think with that, those are our picks. So that concludes this week's show. If you like what we're doing, please be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Visit thebrazenbull.com and share our content with your family and friends. Until next time, folks.